Hello and welcome to today's video. I have got quite a few sketchbooks here and I'll explain why in a minute. So every year for the last 3 years now, I have travelled down to Woodbridge in Suffolk to go to the Art Safari Sketchfest. And there's the Art Safari logo. And this was my welcome pack. I just thought I'd share everything with you. So this year I was only able to go for one day and I went on the Saturday. And I think the weather was probably better on the Saturday than it had been on the Friday and on the Sunday. It was still a bit chilly actually for the beginning of August. Anyway, if you are not familiar with what Sketchfest is, it is a 3-day outdoor sketching and painting festival in Woodbridge on the River Deben. And it costs £100 to register. And for that you get one sketching walk, one demo and one workshop. That's included in your £100. And then there are lots of other workshops and demos that you can book on top of that. So let's hope this focuses. These are the various tutors. And I think this artwork is probably Ian Sedge's, but I'm not sure. Kind of looks like his style. So as you can see, there are just loads of things to choose from. A demo lasts for 40 minutes. I think last year it was 30. I might be wrong on that. A workshop lasts an hour. A sketching walk lasts for 50 minutes. And a half-day workshop is 2.5 hours to 3 hours. I'll tell you, the first year I went, I absolutely wore myself out because I booked like one session, then the next, then the next, then the next, and I didn't give myself any gaps at all. Oh, here's pictures of all the tutors. So that was the year before last. Last year I was a bit more sensible and left myself some break times. Woodbridge is a lovely little town to go and visit. Lots of lovely little shops, good places to eat as well. And this year, like I say, I only went on the Saturday. So I think I booked 4 things. And I will tell you what they are in a minute. So that's the lovely leaflet. And Art Safari do art holidays as well. And if you've been watching for a while, you might remember that I went to Uzbekistan with them last year. Had a wonderful time. So on the Saturday evening, there is the option of fish and chips. In the evening after everything's done. I was rushing off, so I didn't do that, but I wouldn't have had fish and chips anyway, being a veggie. This is the little map that shows where everything is. So this is the number 5 is the Art Safari headquarters, and so there are some tables out the front there, and they have awnings to shelter you from the rain and the sun. And then this is Wistock's place, and this year they had a arts and crafts fair in this area. There's the long shed and a little museum place to go in there, and quite a few little cafes around there. And then this is the Tide Mill, which I love to go and spend more time in there. It's beautiful. They still make flour. I don't think it was open this year when I was there on the Saturday. I know I did do a picture. I'll show you my artwork in a little minute, because I'd arrived quite early and my first session wasn't till 10 o'clock, I think. So I did sit here and drew what I saw over that way. And then this is kind of there's lots of barges here, people's homes on boats. I don't know what you call them. I'm often a memory block. Then this is the bus shelter, that's the railway station, and then the boatyard and rowing club, and the bandstand is here, and this is the yacht club. And last year we had a lovely evening in the yacht club on the Friday night with some singing and a lovely meal as well, which you pay extra for. I wasn't there early enough this year to go on the Friday. Also in my welcome pack we had a lovely postcard of the River Deben, and Sutton Hoo is not too far. I did go there last year, and on the Saturday evening I went to see the Red Rose Theatre do a production, and it was outdoors. It was great, very cold but great. And on here there's just some pictures of the birds that you might see. Doesn't say who the artwork is actually by. So there was that. Then there was the Art Safari Painting Holidays brochure. I went with Marianne to Uzbekistan. There's places where they've still got things going on later on this year, and then that's next year's lovely places. And they do online workshops as well, and I've done 3 of those now, I think, that last over 4 or 5 weeks. And on Thursday evenings, we're on a summer break at the moment, but I do love doing the speed sketch on a Thursday evening. It really does loosen you up. Then I've got to do a review. I know I've had an email about that as well, so I must do that. Then we got some samples of paper from St Cuthbert's Mill. I've got a few of these now because I picked some up at Patchings last year. So I'll do a review of those soon. I know I've got some more in my bag. This year there was some Rosemary & Co paintbrushes. So this is a little thing about how to clean your paintbrushes. I was very good, I didn't buy any paintbrushes. And I didn't buy any sketchbooks either. Then we got this lovely coaster, and this is Claudia's work, Claudia Meyer. She's great. So that can stay on my desk now. And then this year we got a big A4 Art Safari sketchbook. It's a C. White's Eco book, and it's got lines on one side and plain drawing paper on the other. And it's, you can probably hear that nice thick paper. It doesn't say the weight, but nice sketchbook. So that was everything that was in the goodie pack. And then there were also some free samples of the Hahnemuller paper, and I will do a separate video for these, I think, because it's quite interesting what was in the packs, and it gives you quite a lot of information. So I got one of the toned watercolour book ones, and one of the, I think this was just paper, sketching paper, and might be watercolour in there as well, I don't know. So, don't know where my menu's gone to say what I did. That might be at home. So the reason I've got 4 sketchbooks with me is that I'd taken some that I wanted to finish off. This being one of them. This is it is actually a Hahnemuller little watercolour one, and I did my diamine ink vent paintings in this last Christmas, 2024. So this is the first sketch I did, and if you remember, I was sitting outside the tide mill here and I was looking over to Wistock's place, and I used my Caran d'Ache Neo Coloured 2s for this. It is quite washed out, and I do want to go in and do a bit more detail, but I didn't have time at the time. So that has finished up that sketchbook with that picture. And then that's one of the houseboats. That was the word I was looking for earlier, houseboats. So this is the Dragonfly houseboat, and I used watercolour for that, I think. Used my watercolours. So that finished up that book nicely. I probably won't do a sketchbook tour of that one because I did do one last year of the Inkvent one. So what did I do next? Yes, I did a mixing greens session with Maxine. So I don't... Have I got any art? Yeah, I haven't got any... Was this it? No, that was later. That was Karen. So yeah, I did a mixing greens session with Maxine, and she took us through how to do your tints and shades and tones, and gave us loads and loads of information. So I used this little book as a little notebook, really. This one was a sketchbook project, which unfortunately that project closed down. It's where you fill a sketchbook and send it back, and then it gets displayed. So I've got lots of things to try when I've got a little bit more time with that one. And then I did a session with Julia Cassells. I might have done 5 sessions actually. Yeah, 4 sessions. So we were doing birds, and I had dutifully drawn out my bird on this paper. She told us what colours we were using, and then I checked what paper this actually was, because I realised it didn't feel like watercolour paper. I have got it stuck in here somewhere. And I realised it's a mixed media. It's a C. White's mixed media book, but it is the one that I've been using every year when I go to Sketchfest. So I will do something with that, but because I wanted to get the most out of the session with Julia, I very quickly drew it again in this, I think this is a C. White's as well. Yeah, this is a medium weight watercolour paper, so not brilliant. I haven't yet taken off the masking tape. I'll do that later. I think I might have to heat gun it off. Anyway, Julia explained to us how to do the shadows, and we started with, first of all, doing the background, and my colours were all over the place because I'd lost the swatch sheet out of my Winsor & Newton paint palette that I was using. And I have so many paints in there, I didn't know which one was which. So if I've got one piece of advice, I would say know your paint palette before you start. Anyway, I liked the effects and I learned a lot from doing it. I think if I'd had better quality watercolour paper, it would have been even better. And I was quite pleased with how I got some of the shadows on the bird. And yeah, I was quite pleased with that overall. So that was that session. Then I need this book again. The next session was with Maxine, and we practiced layering techniques. So this was just a fun activity, really, of looking at what we could see and drawing parts of what we saw on this tracing paper. And the idea was not to be too literal. So I did start with this one, which was too literal, too exact. So I did put that to one side and tore my next piece of paper in half, and then I drew these 2 separate things. This was part of a plant. This was a post that was standing up right in front of me. This was the window of one of the houseboats, and this was part of a crane. So the idea then was that we could layer it up and get an idea of how we could do some basic abstract art, really. And then we did the same thing. We were meant to just do it with light and dark, 2 different colours. So this was called Double Vision, this session. And I had a pencil I've got one of those red and black pencils, double-sided Mitsubishi pencils, and I used that. So I was just drawing bits of things. So that's Maxine's shoe. That was a wheel of a bike, flagpole, various bits and pieces that I could see. So that was that one. There is nothing more in that book yet. So that was a fun thing to do. And then I finished up the day with Karen, and I forget what this session was called, but this was another one that was all about mixing colours. So we had 3 primaries, and then we looked at what we could make with it, and we tried to make the different depths of colour. And she explained about warm colours bringing things forwards, cool colours sending things backwards, depending on what's already on your page. And then I've got just a whole list of colours written down here, which clearly meant something at the time. But I think these were the colours that she was talking us through at the time. And these are colours that are good for making pebbles. And then I've got more on the other side. So that was my very quick tour through Sketchfest. And if you get the chance, I would really recommend going along to Sketchfest. Such a fun event, and next year I'm looking forward to being able to go for all 3 days again. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye now.